All right, gang, here we are. The last chapter, chapter 14, remote access and client support. Excuse me. Now, in this last chapter, we're going to describe remote access options, configure clients for VPNs. We're going to configure and troubleshoot direct access clients, configure remote desktop and remote assistance, and describe and configure data synchronization options. Now, an overview of remote data access. Public networks allow traveling users to obtain a remote network connection. But the security of that connection is suspect and a threat to the safety of the resources being accessed by mobile workers. Now, Microsoft provides remote access, remote control, and data synchronization technologies. Now, this is intended to support mobile and remote users in different ways. Comes a remote access and consists of a dedicated computer acting as a remote access server and clients connecting to that server. It allows remote access clients to access resources local to the remote access server. Common for remote access to be done over a virtual private network, a VPN creates an encrypted connection, much faster than older dial-up connections. Latency is still much higher over a VPN than on a LAN. And here's a graphic of that setup. So we've got our mobile computer file transferred to the remote access server, and then we've got file transferred to a file server, and the rest of the internal network's connected to that file server. So you're connecting through this remote access server. That's your proxy to the internal network. Now, when it comes to remote control or remote client uses remote control software to send keyboard and mouse commands to the computer being remotely controlled. So here we go. We're going through a firewall to the remote desktop server. Data synchronization copies files locally to the mobile computers. Users can work with files whether they are connected to a network or not. Changed files are copied back or uploaded to the server. And when we're configuring VPN clients, VPN encrypts communication between the VPN client and the remote access server. Windows 2016 can be configured as a remote access server by installing the routing and remote access server role. Many organizations use a non-Microsoft solution for their VPN. It may require you to install a VPN client for that third-party software. Okay. So we've got that mobile computer, send an encrypted message, goes through the firewall, it's still encrypted, hits remote access server, that data is sent to the internal network, and then it works its way right on back out to you. Now, VPN protocols supported by Windows 10 are the protocols supported when you use Windows Server as a remote access server. So we've got PPT, it's point-to-point tunneling protocol. That authentication is typically based on a username and password, one of the most insecure protocols that we deal with. It's used for networks with low security requirements. And next level up, we've got L2TP or Layer 2 tunneling protocol. IPsec provides encryption for L2TP connections. And we've got authentication for IPsec can be based on pre-shared key certificates or Kerberos. To allow L2TP connectivity through a firewall, you need to allow UDP port 500, UDP port 4500, and IP protocol type 50. Now, we've also got SSTP or Secure Socket Tunneling Protocol. And we use Secure Sockets Layer, SSL VPN. An SSTP connection is authenticated by a username and password. It's preferred over L2TP as well as if we're sure it's going to be over PPTP since that's the lowest level security. Now we've also got the IKE version 12 tunneling protocol. Now it doesn't require IPsec authentication to be configured separately. That features VPN Reconnect, which automatically reconnects when the network connectivity is lost. That's not something we had in those other versions. So this reconnectivity can be a huge game changer for you. When it comes to Win 10, users can create a VPN connection from settings. You can also create a new connection from network and sharing center. Set up a new connection or network. You need the following information to be able to set up a connection. The VPN provider, connection name, the server name or its address, the VPN type, and the type of sign-in info that's going to be used. So here's the interface that we've got to go complete. All that information I just talked about, it's all right here. Move to the next one. Now here's different methods for deploying VPN connections automatically. You've got the deployment method and a description of each one of them. You can pause and read these. So here's an interface for a work VPN properties, creating a VPN connection. And these are the security settings within that connection. Okay, so we can go select, based on what we were just talking about, how do we want to set this thing up. We're going to create the connection. We've got EAP, or Extensible Authentication Protocol. It's a framework that allows multiple authentication methods to be integrated with the sign-in process. Win 10 includes PAP, Challenge Handshake Authentication Protocol, or CHAP, and then we've also got CHAP 2, which has got better security than either of the previous two. So when we're creating the connection, how are we going to create it? Here's our VPN network settings. We've got direct access. It behaves much like an always-on VPN connection. It doesn't require you to turn on a connection. It's like you stayed connection all the time. And the benefits are it's easier for users and the clients are easy to manage. Now, when it comes to direct access, users are never prompted for authentication. It's performed automatically in the background. The network location server is configured. If clients cannot connect to the NLS, this indicates they're roaming and the direct access client is connected. It relies on IP version 6 for connectivity. It uses Teredo to tunnel IP version 6 packets over IP version 4 networks. So like we said previously, it's been 4 or 5 chapters ago I talked about it. Most of us are still using IP version 4 networks. That doesn't mean we can't use IP version 6 concepts or packets over an IP version 4 network. We just need to use Teredo to tunnel those packets through. Windows 10 is configured for direct access by using GPOs. The GPOs for direct access are applied to a specific activity directory group selected during configuration. Now, to do that, you'll go to Settings, Network and Internet, and then just pick Direct Access. You can also view connectivity information and direct access configuration by using the group policy. You can enable remote desktop and any individual Win 10 computer. So here's our system properties, and here's where we'll allow remote connections. If this isn't selected, then our other option is don't allow it. We can't have VPN if this happens. Okay, I just showed you that. So here we're managing our connection, computer name, username, right on down the line. We've got the local resources tab and experience tab. And we've also got an advanced tab. Okay. Now, we've got remote assistance. And if we want to review what a user's doing and even take control to resolve an issue, we can use remote assistance. It's initiated via an invitation file, Easy Connect, or administrator can initiate it. So here we are, Windows Remote Assistance. How do you want to get help? Invite somebody else to help you. Synchronizing Data maintains a copy of files on a roaming computer in addition to the initial source location. We can use OneDrive. We've talked about that a great deal. Standard repository on the cloud. We've also got offline files. Here's where we've got our connection, where we've got conflicts with offline files. And this can happen sometimes where, let's say, you've got stuff stored on a drive other than your system. Could be a network drive, could be cloud drive, wherever it may be. You go into that file that is a synchronized file with that external store. You make modifications to it while it is technically offline or not connected. Now you have to go sync that, and it could get problematic. Okay? So we've got work folders, same kind of concept. So when it comes to remote data access, it can be performed by using remote access, remote control, or data synchronization. VPNs can use various protocols such as PPTP, L2TP, SSTP, or IKE version 12, or version 2, I mean. DirectAccess provides remote access to data similar to a VPN, but it's always on. That increases opportunities for remote management of mobile users because you always have that connection to them. Remote desktop uses the RDP protocol when using the RDC to connect or control Windows 10 computers. Remote assistance is used to shadow what users are doing on their computers. OneDrive synchronizes files with a cloud-based service as long as there is a internet connection. That's it.